Good evening, friends, subscribers, and EasyJet Sim Pilot members that are all there in the chat room. Right, sorry this has taken a little longer. I didn't realise that we had a small 1.5 gig update after the main update of tonight. Azobo have surprised us today, a few days early. Wasn't expecting this, so it's been a little bit rushed. But we're here, as always. Whenever we get an update, we try and fly during soon after it's been updated. See what they broke. Let's see if we actually can fly. It could be the world's shortest stream. But we're going to attempt tonight to fly from Liverpool's John Lennon Airport over to Amsterdam. So we shall see what materialises, shall we? I'm also going to change the time as well. Don't worry about that when that loads in a second. So that we can actually turn on the... yeah, I'm going to change the time. Sorry, just continue to update. Going to change the time and then fly in the daytime. And hopefully we shall see the beautiful contrails. Or we may not get that high. We may have crashed before we actually get that high. So let's find out what would be an appropriate call sign for this. All the reports I'm hearing, I think FlyByWire 999 may be appropriate, given the way things are. So as you can see, we are at John Lennon Liverpool Airport. It's raining. Oh, we're on live weather, but as I say, I'm going to change the time. We're not going to continue on live time. So let's go in and change that, shall we? So ready to fly, and let's see. So let me get in there and change the time. It does look good raining at night, though, doesn't it? I love the reflections that we get. So has anybody else been and successfully flown yet following the update? That is the question. What time should we go for? I don't know what, we'll just go 12 hours later, so 8:18 AM sounds good. I chose Liverpool because, of course, it is one of the newer handcrafted airports now, isn't it? So that's quite nice. And of course Amsterdam has been a handcrafted airport for a while. So the first thing I'm going to test is reports that I've been hearing are that the FlyPad no longer works. So I'm going to try and turn that on. We'll see what happens. So essentially, whilst we may not do everything by the book tonight, I do want to continue and go through using all the normal real world procedures, etc. that we try and have. So let's see how we get on. Right, the FlyPad's obviously turned on, so that's okay, but I'm also hearing things saying that we can't actually interface with it. So if I just try and... oh no, that's strange. I'm pressing the right Alt key to try and bring it out. That's not working. And I'm clicking on dispatch on dashboard. Have I got the cursor turned on? I don't know if you guys can actually see what I'm trying to tap away on here. Capture cursor, yep, so that's turned on. So can you guys actually see what it is I'm doing? It's not working, as you can see. Okay, well, FlyByWire I think are aware of that, so that will also be probably fixed by morning, given the speed that FlyByWire tend to work at. So, bug number one, we don't have the FlyPad working anymore. That's a great shame. Okay, well, let's see what else doesn't work, shall we? Let's just run self-loading cargo and FSUI PC7, because I'd like to take some passengers with me on this doomed flight. So we'll get self-loading cargo fired up as well. See if that's still working following the update. I can't see there's any reason why it shouldn't be, but hey ho, we never know. So self-loading cargo coming on now, and of course the app that I always use when pushing back is the pushback helper. So I really hope that is still functioning as well. Okay, so I'm just going to import this this flight plan into self-loading cargo here, And we're good. Alright, so let's start and power up the aircraft, shall we? Let's get the batteries on. Batteries 1 and 2 are turning on. That's a good sign. Okay, then what about some ground power? Let's see if that works. Tune Liverpool ground and request power supply. We are of course not flying on VATSIM or anything like that. You'd be absolutely crazy to want to go on the VATSIM network straight after an update. Right, ground power is available. We can see it coming. So let's get that connected. There we are. Okay, so we'll turn the crew supply on. We'll start getting those ideas aligned. And have we got screens? So self-testing, self-testing, self-testing. All looks pretty good to me. That's fairly normal. Nothing wrong with that. Let's also give you the current METAR here at Liverpool. Obviously, it's raining. Strangely enough, there's no mention of rain in the METAR that I've got just here. So I'm just going to pop the METAR into the chat for you. There you are. And we get the 3 clicks. So all is starting up well. Everything's actually looking pretty normal at the moment. Aside from the flypad not working, everything's looking okay. Any of you want the operational flight plan that I'm going to use for this test flight? Let me pop that in the chat for you as well. There it is, so you've got those. Alright, so the version that I'm using for this test flight, it is the developer version, the latest developer version, downloaded literally about 15-20 minutes ago, but it does also have an updated flight model in it. To be fair, that flight model now may also be merged into the dev version. That updated flight model came out for testing by us about an hour and a half ago, so that may already be merged into there. So such as the speed that the fly-by-wire guys work at. Okay, let's get the nav lights on. Let's get no smoking, etc. We'll get the APU running as well. COVID times. APU bleed on as soon as possible. Fresh cabin in the air. And, or rather fresh air in the cabin. And let's see if we can still pull our information through from SimBrief, shall we? So, clear that. GPS primary lost, that's understandable. AOC, okay, so init press, init data request, is SimBrief still working? That looks good. 53-minute flight, Liverpool to Amsterdam, back to the AOC menu, and to our performance weight and balance pages. Alright, well let's see if this matches up now then, shall we? So, block fuel 3726, that matches up. Let's load the fuel in. Fuel's loaded. Let's now have a look at our payload. 160 passengers flying on this test flight today, rather you than me. We have got a payload of 16640, that matches up, and the zero fuel weight as well, also confirmed at 57.6 tons. So let's go ahead and pop that payload onto the aircraft. Okay, so gross weight then showing 61.3 tons. And takeoff weight showing about 61.16 tons, so that's good as well. Fair and no second flight plan not yet operational. There we go. Christian, you can put that on my quote wall of fame. Alright, so all the weights are looking good. Let's continue. In fact, where are these passengers? Have we got a we've not got any air bridge at all, and calling the jetway here in the pushback helper doesn't actually do anything. Alright, never mind. We'll get the doors open and passengers are just going to have to leap up into the aircraft as happens, unfortunately. So let's start that flight. Let's start getting you guys on board. Let's settle yourselves in, grab yourselves a drink, put your seatbelts on, and let's see if we can get to Amsterdam without crashing.
Cabin crew, we're ready to start boarding the aircraft now, so you can go ahead and open the doors. Thank you.
Free vacation if you survive. Well done, Michael. I like that.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so let's get that door open. Let's start letting you guys all on board. There we are. Okay, so let's continue finishing our cockpit prep. Can turn the seatbelt signs on now. Our refueling is done. Now let's get the bleed air on and get those fuel pumps turned on as well. Standby instruments and Q&H here is where's that gone? I had that a moment ago. It is 1013, Q&H 1013. Let's key that in. It's the default pressure. How handy is that? Flight director's coming on. And center console, all looks good. If we're doing things by the book, get the guard frequency on VHF2. There we are. Everything's set there. All levers in their correct place. Do you see? Yes, I have seen that. I have seen that new version. I need to go ahead and download it because I think that pushback helper is fantastic. That said, once we get the ground stuff working on the flypad, well, you know what? I will probably use both because the pushback helper holds the jetway there. At the moment, the flypad doesn't, which is really nice. Right, so pedestal is all looking fine and good as it should be. Let's get the brightness settings on the flight displays turned up, and of course I'm going to turn the first officer displays down, keep those frame rates. Have a look at the FCU as well, make sure that's all set. Alright, now let's come down and start looking at our computer. Start programming the McDo. So let's have a look now at the data page. Do we have an updated ARAC cycle? Yes we do, there we go, finally. So with today's update we've got the new ARAC cycle and the latest database information is now available to us to use. So hopefully no more missing waypoints when you're checking things through on SimBrief. That's really nice. Let's come and have a look now at pulling the data link upload in from SimBrief into the FCGU. So, init press, uplink in progress. Look at that, it's actually pulled everything in this time. So we have got our alternate of Brussels, I think that is. We've got the Brussels alternate in there, and flight plan, cost index of 30, and we're basically just checking everything up against this. So there you go, cruising altitude flight level 330, and we've got minus 57 showing there, so we can go ahead and update that. Minus 57 as the temperature. Also we shall check that tropopause height, which is 36547, 365, that's probably the closest I've seen it, to be fair. I'm quite happy with that. Yes, that's really nice, really happy that that's showing through. Okay, so do we need to do anything with regards to init A? I don't think so. I think that's all complete. Alright, let's have a look at our flight plan then. So our flight plan today, we are departing out of runway 27 by the Barton 1 Tango departure. So let's pop that in. Departure runway 27, and there's the top one, the Barton 1 Tango departure. Insert that. That pops all the waypoints in for us quite nicely. Stop altitude for this departure is 4,000 feet. Arriving then at Amsterdam, we're planning to arrive on runway 27 by the Lamzo 2 Alpha departure. So runway 27, ILS runway 27. Interesting, actually, just something I've noticed. I always thought previously, prior to the update, these started off in ILS order and went down, so I wonder if something's affected that. So I'm just having to scroll down for ILS 27. There it is. So ILS runway 27 and the, what did I say it was? The Lamzo 2 Alpha arrival. There it is. And that is via which initial approach fix is that? I believe it's Sugol. I will need the charts to confirm that. Let's bring those over. So where is the initial approach fix? So we come in via Lamzo, and the initial approach fix is just there. It's Sugol. So let's pop that out into there. GPS primary is flashed up, so the ideas are aligned. Let's clear that. Insert. So 322 miles the flight. Let's cross-reference that against our flight plan. 319 miles, 3 miles difference. I'm more than happy with that difference. All right. So now I've done the flight plan. Let's just have a look at the RadNav page. Anything we need to pop into here regarding our departure. In case we have to fly raw data, in case things go terribly badly, we're going to depart. This is our standard instrument departure, the Barton 1 Tango. So basically we take off, no turns below 590 feet, and do not climb above 4,000 feet. So right hand turn, and that right hand turn is to begin around 1.5 miles away from leaving the runway, and we are to intercept the 081 radial from Wallasey. Now all of this should be coded in automatically, but just in case, because this is a test flight, just in case things go wrong, we can put the Wallasey VOR into our RadNav database. So let's do that, and we also want to set the 81 degree radial. So Wallasey is Whiskey Alpha Lima. Let's pop that in to the RadNav page. So Whiskey Alpha Lima, and a radial of 81 degrees. Lovely. Okay. So, RadNav page is now complete. Let's go over to the init B, which is the fuel planning page. So, fuel planning, zero fuel weight is, where have you gone? Zero fuel weight is 57.6. 57.6, and we use a standard center of gravity, which I believe now you can now edit. I'm not going to, but if I just bring the weights down page here, does this look different at all? Right, so I believe you can actually go in and edit this now. I've not played with it, but they've obviously updated this, so every aircraft weighing slightly different, so you can perhaps have a little play with that if you wish. So you can change your empty center of gravity weight. I'm not going to touch it now, but I would probably move that to 30. That's just the standard. And then once the aircraft's all loaded, which it actually is now, aircraft is all loaded up, and it's about 30.2. I'm actually just going to make a quick note of that because we'll need that in a moment. 30.2%. So that's not the zero fuel weight center of gravity, of course. That's we've got all our passenger weights now in. Okay, let's close that down. So let's also get the trip wind component in for our flight. We have got a tailwind of 42. That'll get us there quickly. Tailwind 42. And fuel planning. What I'm expecting to see when I hit the fuel planning page now is something around the 3.7 ton mark. So fuel planning, it says we need 3.3. We're taking a bit more. We're burning it at the moment with the APU on, so let's calculate this with 3.6, shall we? Let's get that in there. There we are. So takeoff weight 61.2. I'm just going to confirm that's the same as we've got on here. Takeoff weight 61.2. Happy with that. And I've already, whilst I was waiting for everything to load, I've already done the takeoff performance calculations. So our flex temp for that is 67 degrees on the flex temp. So we can pop that in on our next page. So I'm just checking we should land at Amsterdam with around 1.7 tons of fuel on board. Perfectly acceptable. So RadNav page is sorted. Farron, does the FlyByWire intercept the VOR radials? Well, we shouldn't have to, because as I'll show you in a moment, it should all be coded in. It's just in case something goes wrong and I've got to manually fly it. I can go back to flying it in Cessna mode. So where were we? Init B is complete. Let's have a look at the takeoff performance data. So flaps 1, Our transition altitude here at Liverpool is 5,000 feet. And our flex temp 67. And I believe this may be a noise abatement 1 departure, so I can pop this in 10, call it 80, and 3080. There we go. So let's calculate these V speeds. 133, 129, 128. If you're new to the channel and are wondering what thrust reduction, acceleration, altitudes and changing those is all about, do check out the various tutorials on the page, and they'll explain in a little bit more detail what I mean. It's basically to do with noise abatement and where we want the aircraft to reduce to climb thrust, and then where we want the aircraft to start accelerating away. Alright, so let's confirm happy with everything on there. That's all done. So departure briefing, let's just bring the charts back. Departure briefing is pretty straightforward in terms of the flight plan. Take off, turn right, intercept the 81-degree radial, no climbs above 4,000 feet, transition altitude is 5,000 feet, with no air traffic control here, so if we do go above 4,000 feet I'm not going to be too concerned this evening, but also be aware our minimum safe altitudes are 2,100 feet as we take off, and then as we start to head out to the east, 3,500 feet. Okay, and of course noise abatement 1 departure we're doing today. Right, how are those passengers getting on? Are you guys all on board yet? I'm waiting for 14 more passengers, but that's fine. So, whilst we're waiting for those to straggle on board, we can get rid of the ground power unit. APU is running, APU bleed is running, let's tell it to do one. So, get the end of that. He should start to disappear. There we go. Let's disconnect our ground power. And what I'm going to do as well, just whilst waiting for these final few passengers, I'm just going to have a look at how our departure looks here on the flight plan. So as you can see, there's a specific 580 feet rather constraint there, and I believe it's 590 on the charts. It may have changed. It may have changed. But we're happy enough with that. So there you go, the right hand turn, and then we're on the 81 degree radial out of Wallasey. Let's scroll through the flight plan and see how that looks all the way across the Pennines and then out over the North Sea, and then coming into Amsterdam via Schiphol, and that is exactly how I expect that to see. We basically overfly the airport and then come back around, and I can show you that very quickly now as they get the doors closed. So we leave Schiphol here in Amsterdam, sorry, just before Amsterdam, Schiphol, then from here, the initial approach fix, we fly straight over the airport, and then we come back around to hopefully successfully land following this update. Okay, just before we push back in taxi, however, I do want to double check what are we doing. So we're pushing back here, we'll push back to the left, so facing east, then we'll come back down, taxi via uniform, taxi out via Alpha, and then we taxi all the way along, and we're taking off right at the head of the runway. Not using intersection golf, as that's not what I've planned for in my takeoff performance. So with that, those guys are all on board. Main door is closing. Let's put some lights on down here. It's a little bit dark. Of course, it'll get brighter once we get above the clouds.
Thank you.
So passengers are all on board. Let's get those doors armed.
Cabin crew were all ready to go. You've armed all the cross-checks, thank you.
Okay, so cockpit preparation is all completed. Our signs are on and auto it is. If we got 3 nav green, let's just double check that, see if that's another thing that's working. IRS 3 nav green, perfect. Fuel quantity is checked, loaded and balanced, and the altimeter is 1013. Both sides set and cross-checked. Right, we're about to get ready to push back now, guys. So, let's hope we don't have a problem. Basically, if we do have a problem, we would probably look to return here or at Manchester, because given how close Liverpool and Manchester are, if we have a huge problem, Manchester is literally about 30 miles away from here, and departing runway 27, we could spin round and it would probably be just as easy to go straight in there as it would be to do a full 180 and come back into Liverpool. So weather, obviously we need to be a little bit of where weather is 190 at 13. That is almost a straight crosswind across the runway at 13 knots, so be aware of that on takeoff. Other than that, the only other threat I can think of is the fact that we've had an update. So let's welcome you guys on board and we'll start looking at pushing back.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the flight Takeoff, this is your captain speaking, and I'd like to welcome you on board this EasyJet A320neo aircraft. We're not expecting any delays, so we should be arriving at our destination on time. The guys on the ground have just finished loading all of your baggage, and the cabin crew are just making fast checks of the aircraft before we get it ready to push back and go. For now, though, if you could please get yourself sat comfortably with your seatbelts fastened, we should be ready to depart in just a few minutes. Thank you for choosing to fly with EasyJet today, and we'll enjoy your flight.
Just realised I'm on the EasyJet livery and not the FlyByWire livery. Never mind, I'll call it a charter flight for FlyByWire as we're testing the simulator in one of their manufactured aircraft. That's how I'm thinking of it anyway. 3 green, every time you see a new update it just fills you with dread. You and me both, and the entire FlyByWire developer team. Okay, the tug is attached, as we can now see, so we've got the pushback clearance. Let's get that rotating beacon light on before starting engines. Check nose wheel steering is disconnected, start the elapsed time, check parking brake pressure, and transponder to auto. And do you know what? We'll make up a transponder code. How about 666? We have to have 4 digits, so quadruple 6. Thrust levers are idle. Let's release the parking brakes then, and we're ready to start the push. And back we go. Alright, so engine mode select to norm and starting engine 1. Engine 1 spooling up. Let's have a quick look outside and see how our tug driver does today.
Emergency exits on this A320neo. Please take a minute to locate the one closest to you and note that it may be behind you. Count the number of rows to the exit. Should the cabin experience pressure loss, stay calm and listen for instructions from the cabin crew. Oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat. Place the mask over your mouth and nose like this, and pull the strap to tighten it. If you are traveling with children, make sure you put your own mask on first before helping others. In the unlikely event of an emergency landing and evacuation,
Starting engine 2.
Carry on luggage and items behind. Life rafts are located below your seats, and emergency lighting in the floors will lead you to the closest exit. We ask that you make sure that all carry-on luggage is stowed away safely during the flight. While we wait for takeoff, please take a moment to review the safety procedures on the card in the pocket in front of you. Electronic device must now be switched off or turned to airplane mode until we instruct you that it is again safe to use them. Our cabin service will commence once we are in flight. If you are a frequent flyer with us, you can now join the channel as a member and obtain extra perks to make your journey with us more enjoyable. Thank you for your attention and we hope you enjoy the flight.
Okay, so the parking brake is on with the pushback complete. I think the pushback tug's done a pretty good job there. He's got us where we need to be. So engine 2 is just spooling up and becoming stabilised. Good evening, HD. Haven't just caught me as I'm landing. No. We may not get that far today if some reports are to be believed. We're already prepped for a instant return to the airport. Although I have said I'm not returning to you. If I'm going to take off and have to turn around, I'm not faffing around. I'm going straight into Manchester, as I'll be heading in the right direction. Okay, so engine 2 is now stabilised. Let's clean the aircraft up, then we'll run the after start checklist. So let's lock those flight deck doors. Engine mode select, norm. APU bleed coming off, anti-ice is most certainly coming on, and APU master can now come off. So flaps config 1, and the pitch trim is 30.2. Can't see. There we go. And we also need to just double check the rudder. There we are. Alright, so we're now cleared to disconnect. Tug driver can go back on his way. Have a little look as well outside as we move, see if we get any sort of rain blast. I'm not expecting anything, but we shall soon see. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm sure the visibility is decreasing here. After start checklist, anti-ice is on, ecom status checked, pitch trim 30.2 and rudder trim checked 0. So flight controls, full left, full right, neutral, and you can tell I'm in the developer aircraft and not the custom fly-by-wire because of the speeds that these are all moving at. Full right, full left. There we go. Alright, so with those done, let's begin our taxi out. Release the parking brakes and let's go. So, quick look. Are we blasting any of that water away? Wouldn't usually use that much thrust, but I just wanted to see if it did anything. I'm sure the day will come that if you've got water puddles stood on the tarmac, your jet blast's going to blast it out. Not today though. Kevin Adams, lovely weather. It's Liverpool, my friend, Liverpool. So chose Liverpool because it's one of the new handcrafted airports, isn't it, following the world update that came out a few weeks ago. So I thought, why not? So we taxi all the way down here. And as we're doing so, let's just review our takeoff. So no change to the performance. Engine out procedure. I would, particularly if I'm already in the turn to come back, I would opt to come into Manchester, as we'll be almost, not quite, but almost on the ILS for runway 05. If we have a problem coming into coming out of Liverpool. Departure is takeoff. We're going noise abatement 1, which I believe it is. HD is here now, he can probably confirm that. Right hand turn, and the coding of the SID looks exactly as it does in the charts, which is just lovely. So whilst we're on the straight and narrow, let's get those weather radars on. We can also set parking brake to max. We'll ding that cabin. There's those stutters still coming in, so they've not addressed those, have they? Ding the cabin. So you can see the frame rates just dropping. They'll come back in a moment. HD, what do the charts say? Very little, actually. Very little. Where was it? Very, very little indeed. Aircraft more than 5.5. Aircraft more than 5,730 kilograms shall climb straight ahead at a maximum rate to 1,100 feet, 1,090 feet. After completing the initial turn outbound to the outbound heading, all jet aircraft will reduce power, so as to maintain a climb rate of at least 500 feet per minute. There you go, word for word. Those of you asking what the specs of the aircraft are, if someone can just summon the Nightbot for me, channel members will know what to do. Thank you very much, guys. And there we go, the frame rates have now come back. Annoying that, isn't it? I was hoping that was something they would have fixed. Excellent. Well, if we're going noise abatement 2 if nothing's printed, that suits me fine. I can go in and edit that very quickly once we get to these stop bars. So before takeoff checklist to the line, flight controls checked, departure briefing, we've confirmed what we're doing. However, I am going to alter the acceleration altitude. Flap setting is config 1, FMA takeoff data is 128 blue, 133 magenta, climb nav blue, 4,000 feet confirmed, and 1FD2, flex temp 67 departure. So we can hold it here, hold it at the Cat 3, why not? I'm just going to go in and alter the departure. So let's just go 1080. There we go. Now we're happy. Alright, so while I am stopped here, we'll also tell our self-loading cargo crew to get seated. Brake temp's looking good. Let's get those lights on. So strobe lights coming on, landing lights, runway turn-off lights, nose lights, and we'll also get the packs off for departure. And our before takeoff checklist below the line. Cabin is now secured. Engine mode select, norm, and TCAS. Need to just turn that TCAS on. We can do that as we start to come and line up with the runway. We could do that now. There we go. TARA, and we'll just pop the tilt above. Not quite so easy to do when you're trying to look where you're going at the same time. There we go. Right. Not going to see very much, I'm afraid, guys, when we depart, but I think once again we get to enjoy the beauty of the graphics here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So all we're hoping is that we just get airborne. Let's deal with one thing at a time. Let's get airborne, and then let's see what happens. Okay, so starting the chrono, takeoff 50% in 1. And set takeoff thrust, man flex, SRS, runway. My PM's turned the transponder on. So there's that wind coming in. I can already feel that we spoke about and briefed. Whoa, that's interesting. 100 knots and V1 rotate. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, thank God we're away from that. I'm having to fight to get this nose up as well. Oh, I didn't like that. Climb thrust. Okay, packs 1 and 2 both coming on. Start that right hand turn. Flaps 1, ground spoilers disarmed. And indeed, this is so much more difficult to fly from the custom fly-by-wire. But unfortunately they haven't fixed the custom fly-by-wire just yet. Following the update. That is an excessive bank rate. Okay, let's continue our climb, shall we? Yes, I know. I'm happy to continue the climb, there's no one else around. Oh Lord, what's going to happen when we put the autopilot on? Alright, let's set flight level 200 and set transponder. Autopilot 1 is now coming on. Flight level 200 confirmed. And we're accelerating away. Okay, yeah, so completely my fault. The fact, well, I say completely my fault. I just didn't take into account the complete oversensitivity now of the side stick. For those of you that have flown both the developer build and the custom fly-by-wire build, you will know the custom fly-by-wire build just handles so much better. It doesn't throw you around with the slightest movement of your side stick, and what I was expecting to do and what the aircraft was doing just didn't match up in my mind there at all. So get the lights off. We'll get out of this turbulence before we release the cabin. Passing flight level 100 and the lights are now off. HD, I think crosswind was about 13 knots. Runway 27 and winds were 180 at 13. So it's a bumpy ride. If that was the takeoff, God knows what the landing's going to be like in an hour or so. Asterix, why all the violet on the navigation display? Yeah, so that's basically telling us that's where all the turbulence is. That's essentially what that means. So now we're past 10,000 feet. We'll also have a look and just double check. So flight level 330, yeah, and the optimum max is 390, so we can go up. Why is my navigation display flashing and flickering? Can you guys see that, or is that just my eyes? Looks like there's a loose wire behind the dashboard. HD, yeah, 13 knots, that was it. And you saw what happened to the aircraft on that takeoff. I've just bashed the dashboard, and that flickering's now stopped. Ah, they've not got rid of the ice though, have they? They've not got rid of the ice. Look, I'm coated in it. HD, I bet you're frozen as well, aren't you? Oh yeah, wow. HD's ruler is frozen. Jonathan Hanna, that is a very good point. It was fixed after we popped out of the clouds. Any relation to that? I wonder. A couple of people also noticed that too. Okay, well, as long as the autopilot behaves from now on, we should be fine. Until we have to come in and land. HD is shaking with fear. You would be too if you were flying in this simulator. Okay, so I just want to break through this next layer of clouds, just keeping an eye on that weather radar. I don't want to release the cabin crew too soon, because if they start prepping your alcoholic beverages and smash them, what are you guys going to drink for the next hour? So hello to everyone who has joined us, maybe coming in a little bit late. So we are testing Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 following today's surprise Sim update number 3. Where they have apparently addressed some issues and broken some others. We are currently flying the developer build. At the moment, I think, or certainly at the time I was loading in, it was the only version of the fly-by-wire build that was semi-compatible with the new update. Of course, this wasn't scheduled, so the fly-by-wire team have done an amazing job at already bringing in a couple of fixes to try and get the aircraft back into the air following the update. Flaps are a big issue again, apparently, so Lord help us on landing. But, yeah, alright, it would have been interesting to do that departure if I'd have been in the custom build. The rudder is so sensitive on the development build. Ah, Farron, is that the weather? Let's have a look. 280 at 3. Ah, it's almost a non-existent headwind. That's the perfect weather for a test flight arrival. So whilst we're climbing, guys, do me a favour if you're there, just hit that like button for me. I would really appreciate that. And we're also celebrating a little bit today. Today we smashed through 7,500 subscribers. So a huge, big thank you to each and every one of you in the chat that is a subscriber of the channel. Estrix, do I know Captain Joe? Not personally, but but yes. Alexander, you're currently flying the custom fly-by-wire and it's working fine, is it? Have you come to land and put the flaps out yet? From what I was reading with the fly-by-wire dev team, going flaps 1 is akin to putting out full flaps at the moment. Not on this version though. This developer version apparently has got around that with a quick fix. Okay, so I think we've stopped bouncing around enough for the cabin crew to start getting your drinks prepared. Thanks Simon, thanks East Birdsley. Great to be able to share this with you all. So this hadn't been my plan tonight. We had planned to do a stream this evening, but I'd not planned to do a test flight as, well, I don't think anyone expected the test, the sim update to come out this early, did they? Christian, did I smack something? Yeah, only the FCU and the navigation display. Mustafa GT, when you say any difference in performance, do you mean actually in the simulator itself? We're still getting micro stutters, but I'm looking round and everything's fine. Oh, HD's over there, look. Give him a wave. Mike Palmer, thank you. The status bar at the top is from FlyLife Studio, and as I keep saying, it's a great little tool, but it's only for streaming. I can't actually see it, so when we land in a little bit, it'll flash up and give you a landing rate, feet per minute. God knows what that's going to look like, but I can't see that, so it's you guys that will know before me how good the landing was in terms of that. Alexander, you've just jinxed it. Your vertical speed knob isn't working. There's nothing worse. That could actually be a bit bugbear for me. And then I'm going to have to try and descend the aircraft in open descent. And the engines don't always respect the speed. So that could be interesting. Ben, what's the average frames per second? Well, right now we're in heavy cloud, aren't we? So what have we got at the moment? We're in anywhere between 35 and 40 on average. Passing flight level 290. Jed, could stuttering just be from streaming while simming? Well, I don't think so. Oh, purely because I've seen loads of people say that they're getting the same problems and not streamers. A lot of you guys on here as well in the chat have told me over the last few days since the last world update that these sort of micro stutters have been coming in. Adam Robinson, have I just updated the flights? Yeah, so that's just been updated before this flight. Passing flight level 310. How high do these clouds go? Alright guys, well, we're going to let you stretch your legs. Don't strain your neck to look out the window, there's nothing to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign so you are free to move about the cabin. However, please note that we do recommend you fasten your seatbelts at all times when you are seated in case of turbulence. Thank you.
Okay, so we're coming up to flight level 330. Let's see if we have contrails. We're about to hit our cruising altitude, so we'll just check the FMA changes. And then after that, there we go, Mac Alt Star. And let's nip outside, shall we, and have a look to see if we've got contrails. I bet we can't see them because of the cloud. Oh look, there you go. We have contrails. Not that they look mightily impressive when they're just embedded in a cloud layer. Oh, that's annoying. How long's that going to last? Oh, that's better. Thought for a minute then it was just going to be a stuck. Some more percussive therapy required. Wait a minute, you always miss the start. Oh, you didn't miss much, apart from us nearly capsizing on takeoff. Good evening, Chris. Great to see you again. So hopefully if the sky is clear, we'll nip outside and have another good look at those contrails. Chemtrails. HD, just don't look at the ice on the engines. I get that the icing is a nice effect. There we go, altitude, cruise altitude, read, alt cruise. I get that it's a nice looking effect, but it's not realistic, is it? So hopefully we'll get some blue sky over Amsterdam and we'll be able to have a better look at those. Captain Turner, Jan Rye, good evening. Alright, boys and girls, who would like the drinks cart to come round?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to serve a selection of alcoholic drinks. Please make sure your tray table is in the down position and clear any items from the aisle. If you would like to upgrade to premium brands, super stickers and super chats are available. If you are a frequent flyer with us, you can now join the channel as a member and get extra perks to make your journey with us more enjoyable. Thank you.
Well, you'll have to fight me for the drinks cart, because after that takeoff, I'm first in line. Okay, so now we're at cruising altitude. We'll just relax for a little bit and we'll start having a look at our descent as well. It's not a long flight, so we need to plan our arrival accordingly.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Cockpit, once again, just to let you know that we've reached our cruise level for today's flight. We're not anticipating any delays, so we should have you in your destination on time as planned. As the cabin crew make their way around the aircraft, you which will be any items on your way to sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the flight. Thank you.
Okay, so hopefully those clouds starting to break up a little bit. But yeah, I'm in agreement obviously with HD, and that is if you're flying around in a little Cessna and you start to get ice built up, I think that's a great little tool, but it should just be disabled for jets. Christian, why do most of my test flights go to Amsterdam? Don't I like it? I don't know. Do they? I did one test flight the other day and we did the RNAV runway 8 approach into Innsbruck. God knows what I've been drinking that day. Sabu loves Codex. There are some real pilots here, but no, that icing is not realistic. Right, so let's see what's happening with our arrival. So we're coming in via the Lamso 2 Alpha departure arrival. Initial approach fix is Sugol, and we want to be at I think it's 7,000 feet over the top of Amsterdam. and then coming around, and a platform altitude of 2,000 feet. Remember, Amsterdam is pretty much sea level, isn't it? Actually, it's below sea level, minus 12. And a maximum of 220 knots as well as we cross over the airport. No other restrictions, but we do need to be apparently below 20 flight level 230 at Lamzo. So we can start that probably around, looking at that tailwind as well. Remember, that's really going to push us along our descent path. So about 20 miles from Lamzo we'll go down to flight level 230. We're currently 80 miles from Lamzo now, so as I say, it's only a short flight. Alexander, do I have a weird thing where the rear strobe light looks really low definition? I have no idea. I spend most of my time at the front of the aircraft. Takeoff go around power. Not noticed anything significant with the frames, but I do use medium settings for the cockpit refresh rate. Okay, so I just need to get a little bit more information about our arrival. So platform altitude is 2,000 feet. Our transition here at Amsterdam is 3,000 feet. Wow, that's low. Probably one of the lowest ones in Europe. Minimum safe altitude 1,700 feet. And our minimum descent altitude is 188. Missed approach is 3,000 feet, and we climb out on runway track. And as I've already mentioned, runway elevation is minus 12, and QNH at Amsterdam. Let's get some weather. Would be able to get off the fly pad automatically, but that's broken. So McDo menu, ATSU and AOC. Let's get our weather request put in, as we won't be too far away. I hope they've not broken the printer. I will be very annoyed if they've broken the printer. I love the printer. What's the temperature? Minus 54. Goodbye anti-ice. Yep, you'll give us a high 5 when you fly by. Yeah, we're heading to your country, aren't we? Let's check that weather out then. Please work, please work, please work. And print. Yay! For a moment there I thought we'd run out of paper. Okay, so that works. And I think, are the skies clearing? Are we going to get a better view of these contrails? Okay, so let's put this into our performance page. So the QNH is 1018. Our temperature is +5. Winds are 280 at 3. And transition altitude 3,000 feet. Minimum descent altitude 188. Clicking away and nothing was happening then. 188. There we go. Also, just going to make a note in case it doesn't populate on its own. The ILS frequency is 111.55. We could also put the Schiphol VOR on there, SPL, which will actually help us with our descent planning. So RadNav page. Oh, it's already populated, so that's nice. So Sierra Papa Lima. $114 miles away. There we go. Okay, so that looks good. Faithful, have they now updated the experimental as well? Oh boy, I wish I was flying that and not this bucket. Once you've flown experimental, you'll never go back to dev. Okay, so where are we? I have to start that descent. Lamzo. Where's Lamzo? Oh, there we go. We're coming up on about 30 miles from Lamzo. So looks like we'll be about ready to start our descent. So drink up, guys. Toilets will be out of action in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking again from the flight deck. You'll be delighted to know that
I hope that was my drone camera that was at a strange pitch. Yes, it was. I just saw the attitude of the aircraft then, the pitch of the aircraft. Thought that doesn't look strange. Oh, that doesn't look good. Christian, yeah, just tried that. Sadly, it looked a bit rubbish, didn't it? It's these clouds. I want to go ahead and clear them, but I want the live weather as well. Werner Miller. So the experimental is better than the dev and stable. So the experimental is exactly the same as the dev build, but with their own built flight controls, if you like, their own custom built fly-by-wire flight controls in it, so it's much more realistic, not as overly sensitive. The flight control surfaces move at the speed they should move rather than just instantly, which gives you much greater control and precision over the aircraft. So if you were here at the takeoff today, you'll have seen that I really struggled to keep the aircraft on the centre line, on the runway, to the slightest controls. Everything was just over exaggerated. So stick with me, guys. We're not far away from Amsterdam now, so we're going to come down to flight level. In fact, we'll come down to flight level 200. So starting that descent. That's into open descent. I'm going to play with the vertical speed as well, because I've heard people tell me that's not working. And have a look at that. It is not. Vertical speed bug is not working. What can I do with that? Absolute naff all. Right, okay, so we're in. We'll go back to open descent and see how much altitude we can lose. We know we can't use VNAV because that doesn't work. Boss Monkey 84, that's great to hear. We can't actually tell in the what we've got right now. And the weather. So I'm going to have to try and descend using this bugged version of open descent, as the vertical speed appears not to be working. However, flight level 200 blue is confirmed. We're in open descent now, thrust idle. Ah, Alexander, you're in the experimental version prior to the update, aren't you? Flaps 1, poof, off you go. Captain Campbell, keep messing with VS, you can get it to work. Mess with it how? Alexander, what do you do with your flaps? Pray. I honestly can't give you an answer. It's just bugged. Fly-by-wire will fix it. I bet you go to bed tonight, you'll wake up tomorrow morning, Fly-by-wire will have fixed it. So I will keep doing as you suggest. Ah, right, do you know what? I know exactly how that's working. So, watch this. Look at the descent rate here. I want a descent rate of about 1700. I'm going to pull there. Close enough. I had to stop it, and it will now hold a descent rate of 1,400 feet. I had to stop it when it was at the particular descent rate showing here that I wanted. I can't move it up and down. I cannot move it up and down, but I can take a snapshot of what it is doing and then tell it to hold it. So that's strange, but I can probably work with that. I can probably just about work with that. Yep, you're not flying at the minute, you're watching me crash in a minute. You're probably not wrong. Oh well, it's nice to relax and have a bit of fun during these well, test flights, bug finding missions, I think. So just whilst we're descending and currently in straight and almost level flight, let me just remind you that tomorrow daytime there is no stream. We normally have a stream on a Wednesday daytime, but there won't be tomorrow as I have a prior engagement, but there will be a stream tomorrow night, hopefully with the fixed aircraft. So no stream tomorrow daytime, normal stream tomorrow evening. So to make sure you don't miss that, then ensure that you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications bell as well. A reminder as well, now you are also able to join the EasyJet Sim Pilot channel for extra perks, so go ahead and check those out for me. So I really need to get this aircraft down. We need to be below 10,000 feet by Sugal, and we're only about 20 feet away, 20 miles away. So let's go into open descent. And so it doesn't go crazy, I'm going to pull that there. There we go. I wanted about 2,000 feet per minute. I'm also now going to roll the engines back. Phantom? No, it'll be a long time yet before VNAV's working, my friend. Okay, so our arrival briefing then is pretty straightforward coming into Amsterdam, as long as the aircraft behaves itself. What should happen is we leave Sugal flying direct to Schiphol. We want to be 7,000 feet at Schiphol, and as we then fly over it, we basically fly this outbound track 116 degrees and at about 11.1 miles turn back to a heading of 297 to intercept the ILS and pray that we land. In one piece. Werner Miller, when do I decide to descend? I don't... well, okay, I kind of do, but information is given to me on the chart. So, I will do a chart reading tutorial, but as you can see here, it said at Sugal we needed to be below flight level 100. And then from Sugal, we want to descend flight level 70 and be at flight level 70 by the Schiphol VOR, which is also confirmed down here on the horizontal profile that you can see just there. And then we want to be at 2,000 feet to intercept the ILS. No HD, it's flight level 70. I'll just leave this here. Dougal, good afternoon. Hope you are well. And Dougal, whilst we're here, then just 1 second. So Dougal, whilst you're here, if you would like to kindly post a link to the fantastic charity that you're associated with, the Simwings community, please post that link now and I'll get it approved so it does come into the chat, as you do fantastic work, and I think the more people that know about it, the better. So we're actually about 10,000 feet too high. It's okay, we're still absolutely fine for the track mileage we've got to do. I'm also going to slow the speed down now to 220. No problem, Dougal. If you want to type that message in, and I'll get that approved for you. That's not going to go down, is it? Right. It's not going to go down until I've slowed down to 220. Let me just roll that speed up, as we need to get the aircraft down. There we go. Let's get the anti-ice on as the temperature's warmed back up a little bit. Have we even seen the ground since we took off? Okay, let's use some spoilers, start slowing the aircraft down. QNH is 1018, let's get that onto the standby. Cabin crew need to start preparing now for landing. Yeah, HD, exactly. That's why I rolled the speed back up. And let's get you guys in your seats. Approach checklist, minimum set both sides, engine mode select norm, and electronic flight bag doesn't work, so it's stowed.
Please fasten your seatbelts as soon as possible. Thank you.
Bastion radio, yes it does. Basically just spoils the airflow over the wings, so obviously aids in your descent and speed reduction. So those winds now, the tailwinds have dropped slightly, which is good.
Ladies and gentlemen from Flight Deck, you may notice we've begun our descent into our destination. We're not expecting any further delays or traffic in front of us for the next few days, so you do assist the cabin crew by tidying your tray, hand over the bag, and putting any medicine in the bags provided. For safety reasons, please set off all electronic devices and switch them to airplane mode until we have landed. Please also note that the aircraft clothes will shortly go out of use. Thank you.
Zabul of Codex, no it doesn't. Fly flat's completely broken. you can't even pop it out. Nick Taylor, so your speed brakes are down here, look. This little lever. There's your speed brake lever. Okay, and I'm going to continue the descent now down to flight level 70. Flight level 70 confirmed. And we're about to pass 10,000 feet. Let's get those landing lights on. And the landing system is also online. We've got ILS populated. Of course, at the moment, we're actually heading the wrong way. So we're going to head straight, fly over the airport just here, and then come about to turn around and land. And there we go, we've actually can see land again for the first time since Liverpool. We're not going to be too far off that profile actually, so that's okay. So a quick look outside. And there is Schiphol. So our landing runway is this one here, I believe. Is this runway 27? I'm surprised actually I didn't get any major frame rate losses over there, as it's a handcrafted airport again. Okay, flight level 70, we're now coming down to 3,000 feet. (1018) the QNH. Let's get down, shall we? And we can activate the approach phase. It's already been done. We've passed the decel point, so managed mode. Faithful XYT. Yes I do. Get those speed brakes out because I need to get this descent going. There we go. So now we're at green dot speed. Aircraft will continue to descend. I'm going to hold that descent rate. Chris Hogg, any idea what was in the update? Yeah, just fixes. We've got now things like contrails as well. I think they've done a lot of things to some of the other aircraft as well, but as I don't fly them, my main point of focus is this. The A320. So we should be at max speed 220 knots at the moment. So this is our left base turn. I'm still not convinced we're actually getting down quick enough at the moment. I'm actually just going to extend that base turn a little bit, as I've still got a couple of thousand feet to lose.
Please make sure you are seated with your belts fastened and your trays in the upright position. Any items should be safely stored, and remember to turn off all electronic devices until after landing. Thank you.
Yeah, don't like it not having a descent rate that I can control. Right, so there we go. Glide slope is now coming back above us. So, sleepy drones, what's wrong with the flaps? Well, we're about to find out. So, speed check, flaps 1. Let's see what happens. Flaps 1. That actually didn't look too bad. FlyByWire doing a decent job there. I am turning my dial in multiples of 10 again. I can live with that though. So 14 miles out, and we're getting ready now to come in on the ILS. Lockstar Cat 3 single. And there's the localizer just coming in. HD, where am I going? You think this is bad? Wait till we try and land. Okay, so a visual with the runway at 14 miles out. So the localizer is coming back in line. 3,000 feet. We could actually descend to 2,000 feet, but I'm not going to bother. The glide slope is going to bring us down there now. Okay, localizer is about to come in, and the glide slope is also active. So turn on the approach mode, glide slope blue. So those flaps then actually didn't do... Well, actually they didn't do anything that I expected them to, so that was really nice. That is to say, they did the correct thing. I never expect them to do the correct thing. Wait for that glide slope capture in a minute. So, when do we go flaps 2? Should we go flaps 2 a little bit earlier than normal? So guys, before we crash land, hit that like button for me. You may have too many broken bones afterwards to do it. Christian, you found chocolate. Don't matter if I crash now. Would it be insulting to you if I told you that you sounded like my wife? Okay, flaps 2. Speed check. Flaps 2. Yeah, it would overspeed if I inadvertently pulled the flaps lever a bit too far and select flaps 3. Radio altimeter is alive. Bit concerned that we're not slowing down. Let's get those landing gears out, shall we? So, landing gear down. Runway turn off lights, taxi lights. Ground spoilers armed. And 5.8 miles. There we go. The extra drag is now slowing us down. Don't know what would have happened if I'd have left that to start configuring now. Took a while. Paul, good morning. You just about to see a crash landing. Flaps 3. And flaps full. Okay, landing checklist. Cabin is secured for landing. Go around altitude is set. Auto thrust speed. Ecam memo landing no blue. No, yep, I'm going to wing it. Nice long runway. We don't need the auto brakes. I expect those winds to drop off though in a moment. That wasn't in the METAR. So what we're reckoning then? About 300 feet per minute, 350. Faithful XYT, we don't need the auto brake. Has everyone remembered to empty the community folder before updating? Always do that before updating. Okay, 1,000 feet. And I'm now going to take control and damage the aircraft manually. So, autopilot 1 coming off. We've still got that wind pushing us over from the left, but I do expect that to decrease given the METAR. So let's get us back on that centre line a little bit more. See if the Pappies and the glide slope agree on this, shall we? Can definitely tell I'm not flying the custom build. One false move and that's it. We'll be on the highway. Continue, land, and we're down, reverses on. $70 knots, reverses off. And we'll take the rapid exit taxiway, past the stop bars and configure up. Oh, that actually could have gone a lot worse in all fairness.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Amsterdam. The local time is 10:50. Unfortunately,
Now, I have not actually briefed any sort of arrival briefing for this. I have no idea where we're going, so I'm just pointing it at the stand.
you might want to put it on before exiting the aircraft. Please remain seated until the aircraft arrives at the gate. You are reminded to keep all electronic devices switched off until you have entered the airport terminal.
Let's hold it there and just do a little bit of tidying up.
You can now join the channel as a member and receive extra perks to make your future flights with us more enjoyable. Thank you for flying with Aviation Data Systems.
Aviation Data Systems, who the heck are they? Minus 227, I'll take that. What was the one we had earlier on today? That was bad. That was really bad. Something like minus 60, wasn't it? That's no good. But yeah, given the fact that it wasn't the custom fly-by-wire, we'll take that. We also did have a crosswind component in there, which is even more difficult to deal with when you don't have the custom build. Though I think you were saying earlier the custom build may now have the been given the fix from fly-by-wire following the update today, so that's really good. So guys, if you're going to head out, please do me a favour, hit that like button before you do, and of course if you have enjoyed this test flight, then please do consider subscribing to the channel and watch us perform more in-depth real-world operations flights, which is what we do normally here. That and of course testing stuff out for fly-by-wire, as I am one of the QA testers and on the developer team. So we get to look at some pretty neat stuff, which hopefully as we test out it all works, and then it gets merged into the developer build and then finally into the stable build for you guys. Right, so there we are down, we're safe, and fly-by-wire once again pulling it out of the bag, ensuring that our aircraft is flyable. We do have a couple of faults, however, that we're aware of. Let's just turn those taxi lights off. Number one, the fly pad no longer works, so stay tuned for that coming in. VS speed in the fly-by-wire no longer works. I have no idea, of course, if the VS speed works in the default aircraft. I don't know. Does anyone fly the default aircraft anymore? I certainly don't. Oh, hang on. Oh, they've not got rid of this, have they? That's still there. Continue. There we are. Oh, but it means I can let you guys out now. Oh, I hope you've had a beer or two during that flight. And off to the hotel bar now for a few more. I shall be back tomorrow evening. No daytime stream. I'll be back tomorrow evening. So as I say, please hit the subscribe, turn on the notifications bell to ensure you don't miss that one. Thanks very much for joining me tonight. Please hit the like button on your way out. That would be most appreciative. And I look forward to seeing you all again on the next flight. Big thanks to all of the subscribers, and a huge thank you, of course, to those that donate to the channel and, of course, our channel members. I will speak to you all again very soon. Good night.